Hello, everybody. I think I'm live now. Um, Looking forward to speaking to you today about this topic of achieving more satisfaction with more celebration and less work. And this was inspired by a client conversation I had yesterday. She's a person who runs her own company, and it is a real passionate purpose for her to make social change in the world. And so she works a lot, and she feels very empowered with this purpose to bring things forward. And yet, she shared that she's never satisfied. As soon as she finishes one big project, it's on to the next one, and never satisfied. And so, um, I was thinking about it. It's a tough thing because as a high achiever, I definitely related to this for a long time. It was always what's next, and um, and in a good way, right? You're very future focused and you're passionate about what you do, and so you're always thinking about what is that next thing on the horizon, and that fuels us. That keeps our energy going. But over time, what we find from people who are high achievers, and especially those that are very aligned with their purpose and passionate, is that it never stops, right? You can just keep going because that passion fuels this energy, and you keep going and you keep going, and so you actually can be on purpose and still burn out because you never stop. And not only that, you aren't you aren't really not really taking time to enjoy the process along the way. And I used to be one of these people that people would say, "Oh, just enjoy the journey," and I'm like, "It's about the outcome. What results are we getting?" I thought it was a total pile of whatever. It was very hard for me to really understand that, but I think now with everything slowing down and people starting to realize that we can't just fill up our days with more things and more activities, starting to realize there is more power in just being present and in slowing down. And so um, the problem is when we don't do that and we keep moving on to the next thing, we really do run out of momentum at some point, and we get tired. And beyond that, when problems happen that we didn't anticipate, it can really kind of knock us off our game because we are so outcome oriented. And so when things aren't meeting our expectations of what it should be, what we expect it to be, it can really be something that throws us for a loop. And so building resilience to be able to handle whatever comes along is really about being able to understand that it is a process and things are unfolding, um, and not really holding out for just that big outcome of what we want, but instead sort of celebrating what happens along the way. And so instead of going down into the spiral of continual work and more and more and more and not feeling satisfied, I've got a few things that I shared with her that I'd like to share now that can really make the difference between actually enjoying the work that we're doing more um, and really kind of reveling in that, and make the difference between us not burning out and being able to stay in it for the long haul in a more sustainable way without overloading ourselves. So it really does come down to this big thing of celebration. And I think of it as kind of these three S's. One is we see more celebrations through some mind shifting. The second thing is that we savor the moment. And the third thing is that we share. We share the celebrations along the way. So I'll go into those briefly. So the first one is seeing celebrations. So if you're like me, and this client and many high achievers, you may be saying, you know, little things aren't as worth celebrating, right? It's kind of the big achievements, finishing that project, getting that promotion. They're birthdays, big milestone events, even milestone birthdays now versus just a regular birthday. You're kind of holding out for that big outcome. And as I really examined it and have talked to clients about it, often it's our own mindset of feeling like these little things aren't really worthy of it. Just waking up and being healthy, is that worth celebrating? Yeah, well, actually, it really is. Like, just or even a tough week where you kept showing up, and maybe you even called and asked for help so that you could move something forward that you wouldn't have been able to do otherwise. I mean, these there's moments constantly out there for celebrating, and when we start to look for them, we'll see them. But you do need to sort of step back and say, everything can be worth celebrating. And by doing it, we actually build our resilience muscles to be able to keep showing up to get to that big outcome, whatever that might be, right? It's not like you stop everything by celebrating. You're able to do that and continue to hold on to that big kahuna that's out there in the distance. So that's the first thing. The second thing is really savoring it, and this is really important. Research has shown that when we really kind of stop to savor the good stuff, we really do build our resilience muscles, because we're basically pumping ourselves up with more of optimism. And I spoke about this on another live video, that is the key to resilience, to moving forward no matter what happens. And when we are busy in a project, even if we're excited about it, there can be a lot of stress that comes with that. And that can flood our body with cortisol, these very destructive hormones. And so being able to actually just step back and maybe like sit outside and, have a nice tea or coffee and really savor a moment around something that you did, that you showed up for, some good thing, or some interaction, or even something that you saw. Sometimes just seeing like a dog playing outside, or a kid just squealing with delight, like just savoring those moments. It's celebrating. It could just be celebrating life. So celebrating anything can just really kind of flood over you in a very positive way, and that optimism not only tamps down on the cortisol and all those hormones flooding your body, but it raises your energy so that you actually can start to see more possibilities. And this is really where that beauty of flow comes in, and actually being able to get more done and work less hard. When you start to just relax and let things and feel more optimistic, we actually are able to raise our energy levels and do more and be more creative and co-create. It's just fabulous. So savoring the moment. I was actually on a silent retreat now about a year and a half ago, and it was all about awakening joy. And the teacher actually had a great phrase that he would say. And he'd say, when great things happen, don't miss it. Don't miss it. So now my tendency it is to actually just stop and just take it in, like breathe it in and let it wash over my body when something good happens. And it really does make a difference, because just slowing that down and savoring it accomplishes two things. You actually enjoy that moment and you feel it in your body, but it actually imprints this beautiful memory as well. And it kind of like stretches it out. And don't we all need more celebrations in life? So highly, highly recommend that. And the third thing is sharing it. And this also was a bit of a mind shift for me, because I used to feel like sharing things was kind of like bragging, and I didn't want to be trumpeting, what was going on that was good, because it might make other people feel bad. And I didn't like necessarily seeing that all over the internet and so forth. And so I really had this sort of judgment going on with sharing it. And what it really comes down to, at least for my mind shift around this, was really realizing that when we share with an intention of generosity and not, bombacity, when we share with that feeling of, I want to share because I care, I'm happy and I want to connect with you and you mean something to me. When you share in that way, it's a whole different mindset. And the other thing is, I'm in several groups now that I find to be these amazing tribes for me. Entrepreneurial ones that are for coaching and for teaching, and actually for more of a business coaching one as well. And in all of them, we share what works, and we share our celebrations. And when we do that, we make it more real. So we're kind of savoring the moment, as I said in step 2, but we're also putting it out there in the world, and then feeling that positive energy coming back, because oftentimes you might get a great comment that you or a reflection on something more you can do, or a question that makes you realize that you can provide more generosity and help somebody else. These things just open you up in this really positive way, and it floods you with more positivity. So savoring the moment and then sharing it can actually amplify it. And I highly recommend doing it. It comes back to you in many, many ways. And I was reflecting actually on the sharing, because last year My birthday's in October, and I actually have a really important milestone anniversary in September. It's coming up next week on the 23rd. And it's my milestone of basically recovering from cancer. It's when the cancer was gone from my body in 2011. And at the beginning, the first year or two, we'd have a big celebration and we'd make a big deal out of it. And then over time, we got busy and I didn't want to call too much attention to myself. And I didn't want to, I just didn't make a big deal of it. And I realized last year that a good 5 years had gone by where I hadn't celebrated at all and even missed a milestone birthday because I wasn't sure what to do. And last year, actually on my birthday, on October 10th, I had a celebration of life party. And I wanted to really savor the fact that it was 8 years that I was cancer free. It's coming up on 9 in a week. And I wanted to savor that. I wanted to share it. And I wanted to feel it, and it wasn't about bragging, it was about connecting and about feeling that the warmth of connection and the optimism, which I definitely have, about the fact that I'm lucky to be here. My mother actually died at the age I am right now. And so I know every single day how lucky I am to be able to keep living and celebrating. And this has been an edge for me to work on. And it's something that I've been trumpeting a lot in the groups that I'm in because I feel like I want to keep reminding myself first and foremost because it doesn't come naturally and we have to keep practicing what we want to cultivate. But it really does make a difference. And it keeps you enjoying along the way while you're still working towards whatever you're working towards. You don't have to stop to keep moving forward. But it does help to just slow down for a little bit and let it wash over you. And then you can leap forward faster and with more energy and resilience than you ever had before. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. I hope it was helpful. And I wanted to also say if anybody does want to chat about propelling forward and if I can support you in any way doing that, you can just go to my website, actually, mindfiremastery.com, and there's a link right there to set up a time for a quick call. So just go ahead and schedule time on my calendar, and I'll look forward to chatting. And I hope you have a great, great day and celebrate. Thank you.